When I first started running ads a couple of years ago, I thought my biggest problem was going to be getting an advertising campaign to be profitable, to make it so that I could put $1 in and get three, four, $5 out in profits. And so that was my sole focus. And after a little bit of time, I was able to crack the code. I was able to put in a couple of $100 a day in advertising spend and make back out a couple of $1,000 a day in profit for my high ticket business. But the funny part about that was that I thought that now I'm just going to spend 5 grand a day or 10 grand a day or 20 grand a day, and I'm just going to scale this thing to the moon. But the thing that I learned, and what most people learn a little bit too late, is that once you've got an advertising campaign profitable at, let's say, a couple of $100 a day in spend, there is a whole separate strategy that you need to do in order to actually scale that advertising campaign. Ironically enough, one of the most difficult things to do in advertising is to spend more money. It actually sometimes breaks whatever worked for you in the very beginning. And so I've created a system that has allowed me to scale multiple of my companies to over $10,000 a day in advertising spend profitably. And I want to walk through that system for you here so that you can do the same thing. Now, what I've learned is that the system can be broken down into 3 key components: our numbers, structure, and testing. So let's start with numbers. What do I mean by numbers? Well, what happens is in the very beginning, when you're just trying to get an advertising campaign to work, I can understand if things are a little loosey-goosey. If you're just spending a couple $100 and you're just trying to see if it's going to end up with you getting sales calls and closing a deal. Because it's so low spend and so low risk, you can typically get away with not mapping out or projecting out all of your numbers. But what I have learned is that if I'm about to launch an advertising campaign, I want to project out what my KPIs or numbers need to be at scale, meaning that once I start spending $2,000 a day, $5,000 a day, $10,000 a day, even $20,000 a day, which I have for some of my companies, because I need to know what are pretty much my break-even numbers that once I reach that, I have to turn the advertising campaign off. And the other really great thing about working on your numbers before you really launch any campaigns is that you can figure out, based on maybe even your previous experience, are these numbers even doable? So I actually break it all down into a Google Sheet. I have a separate video on YouTube that I can link down below where I kind of walk through that Google Sheet more in depth. And I'm taking the company's historic numbers. So our show rate, our close rate, our lead to booking ratio, our setter to booking ratio, our cost per click, our cost per lead historically over the past couple of years. And I'm saying if we have all of our average numbers, does this marketing campaign work? Does this advertising campaign work? And then I plug in certain numbers like, what if I'm able to get the cost per click from $6 down to $5 or down to $4? And when I'm mapping this out, I'm able to really quickly see, is this a feasible campaign before I go crazy and spending all the money in it? Which brings me to another really important point about numbers, which is whatever numbers you're seeing in the very beginning, when you first start running those ads at a couple $100 a day in spend, those will never be the numbers that you're getting when you're at $2, $3, $4, $5, $10,000 in spend. It almost always gets worse as you scale. Your cost per click is going to go up. Your cost per 1,000 impressions is going to go up. Maybe your click-through rate's going to go down as Facebook shows it to a colder and colder audience. Your opt-in rate's going to lower. Your booking rate's going to lower. People have seen the message multiple times. The ad fatigues. One of a million different things is going to cause your advertising campaigns to be worse than when you first started. So that's another really great lesson is when you're first running the campaigns and you get your first sale, but you're barely break even on the advertising campaign, don't run out there and try to start scaling it immediately, because you want to make sure that you are hilariously profitable in the very beginning so that when you scale and ultimately those numbers start working against you, you still have, let's say, a 30% margin of error across the entire board.
If you want my help installing any of these systems in your business done for you, be sure to book a call with my team down below.